There's so many things that have always constantly tried to give humans some sort of category for them to fit into. And why does this keep happening? Because humans love it. People love to be assigned into a box as much as they want to keep telling everybody that we don't. We really do. I mean, I've been into astrology and I've continuously tried to put myself in a box ever since I was 13. Being said, I'm going to go through exactly what personalities actually are. Swift. Guys, these glasses aren't for me. Like, can you please subscribe and like the video because I'm literally ruining my eyes. Please subscribe. Okay, Carl Jung suggested from his clinical work, he came up with Swift, people who have a dominant role in sensations or thinking or feeling or intuition. That was the base, right? That was the 4 bases. That also actually really aligns with the chakra system, which I'll get into later on in the video. From there, people have developed Ocean, which is openness to experience, extroversion, you have conscientiousness, you have agreeableness, and neuroticism, right? And this doesn't really align straightforwardly with Swift, but I thought I should mention it because it's the main one that people in psychology use to measure things, to measure personality. It's the closest thing that we have to personality measurements. What people usually say is, or what we've measured, is that these can be sustained through life and they usually don't change. So it's almost like being born left-handed or right-handed and you just have that for the rest of your life, right? But I think that's wrong. I just think that's like a set default that everybody's born with. We all have a set default that we're all born with depending on our environment. So our behavior, which is determined by environment, is then a default for our personality. One other test that does this really well is MBTI. Bear in mind, I'm not hating on any of these things. This is literally my life's passion, one thing that I know a lot about. MBTI is a 16 personality test by Myers-Briggs, who wasn't even a psychologist herself. It was just a fun way to categorize people, and till this day people have taken it to a very big scale, and it's at workplaces. I've made my friends do it over and over and over again. There's literally no scientific basis to MBTI. You might be an INFJ and then the next minute you might be an ENTP. My point is, depending on how the sun is outside, you might have a whole different personality on that test. So I mean, like, I've done it every single time. I'd either get like an ENFP, sometimes I get an ES. The whole problem with MBTI is that you can't be put into a category, especially with the way that they put their test scores. This is very similar to astrology. Oh my god, I'm bringing astrology into this. I don't want to bring astrology into this, but I am. Hear me out. I love astrology. I still am very interested in astrology. I love it so much that I literally know so much about it and I could read my friend's chart for her. But recently I looked at the verdict astrology, which is completely to the tropical astrology, and my houses, well, my rulers of the houses don't align. So what does that mean for me? I've got a whole different personality that I don't even know anything about. One minute I'm a Leo rising, the next I'm a Virgo rising. What am I? I believe that some astral bodies up to Mars could impact our energies, and we could benefit from this, right? We could benefit from knowing what energies are around so we can use those energies, right? I'm personally proud of my Mars, hence why I feel like I can like tackle the things that I like with energy because I know the benefits of my Mars in Capricorn. But my Mars is in Sagittarius in the verdict astrology. So when I found that out, I was like, so all these powers that were placebo, I was giving them to myself. Doing the reading, which country is doing the reading, which aspect you're looking at, which makes astrology unreliable. This also support the Forer effect, which is people giving specific details from their own experiences to generalized statements. Shall we have a look? When it's silent in class and you've caught a cough once and then feel another one coming. Everybody feels that way, but this is not an introvert thing. This is just somebody feeling socially anxious, right? And it's very general, but an introvert or whatever, a specific personality type might look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's me and I must be an introvert. These personality traits, especially with like introversion, some of them are straight up social anxiety. And it is, yeah, you want to stay at home and not talk to people. And we're supposed to be social creatures. Being interested in society is different to actually getting energy from yourself and doing something very proactive with that, and then coming to the community, to the society. That's basically what the 4 effect is, that somebody picks up a specific, a generalized statement and makes it very specific to themselves, and now labeling themselves as whatever label. And my experience with this is it stops us from connecting with people because we label ourselves as one thing, and then when somebody comes with another label, we have no interest in that label because we labeled ourselves as this, and now that person has to be completely boxed out. With Gen Z, with this new population that we have that are coming up into their 20s, that's me, we have gotten to a point where we've labeled, like we've put ourselves in so many boxes that are so unique and so niche, we have no friends. We have no communities that really get each other, because we feel like these personalities, oh, I'm like this, I prefer this, no, I'm vegan, cruelty free, you know, all these specific niches that completely box you out from having friends, which is our natural need. We need the society, otherwise, why are we here? A lover of astrology, as a lover of MBTI, as a lover of ocean, I've come to a conclusion that the self should not be labeled. The self should just cruise with anybody, because we are all literally the same people living in a certain environment. That I can understand. Behaviors from a certain environment and cool, like maybe not culture's too generalized. Maybe like from a certain environment, that I can understand, feeling like, you know, you can't really relate to someone that's grown up in a jet. That's perfectly fine. Say that because you didn't grow up in a jet or in a $20 million house, you can't bond with that person. We have to understand that if you grew up around a certain environment, around a certain music preference, around a certain book reading preference, any sort of preference, that doesn't mean that you are the only person doing that. There's gonna be so many other people that you can physically connect with. And it's not necessarily about being an introvert, an extrovert, a neurotic person or not. It's just about connecting with your environment and with the society around you. Who else is, you know, spending the whole day looking at the screen? You know, you can connect with those sort of people. Just chill with your personality types, with your confinement. And then we have the opposite scale as well, where people are like, no, I don't want to fit into anything. I don't want to fit into society. I don't want to do this. This is too much for me. I am my own thing. I am an individual who is GMO free. That also is a problem, because as soon as somebody chooses to label themselves as something, you want to completely push them out. That's also not something that we are advocating for here, because you are denying that same behavior within yourself. When you are saying that I'm an individual and I don't fit into any box, that itself is low-key a box. Back to why this all matters. Philosopher David Hume suggested that the self is just a perspective, a bunch of perspectives making up reality, right? So basically an observer, which is what the spiritual group would call it. If the self is just an observer and a collection of perspectives, then those perspectives, social cognitive perspectives, would be correct, because what you see around you, which is your perspective on things, right? You're making up a perspective. I see curtains, then my perspective of this curtain, what's my beliefs, you know? So your perspectives make your beliefs. You see your environment, you make your beliefs depending on those environments. As your perspectives, depending on your environment, will then have a belief system. You will make a belief system depending on that. environment, and that will affect your feelings, which then will affect your behavior and your outward projection on life, and that would make everything around you kind of work to match your beliefs. I'm sure there's so much on the internet now, so I'm sure you get it. That's the whole idea of the self. The self matches the environment, and that's completely it. But you on your own don't have a single box that you fit into, because it really just depends on where you put yourself in the world, where you put yourself within friends, within family. And when I say this, I'm not saying go be alone to figure out exactly who you are. You can do, solitude is good, but not for too long. Like, you shouldn't be obsessed over making sure that you know exactly who you are and where you should put yourself, because sometimes relationships are what gets you there faster. You'd be surprised, I know. Why do we keep going after personalities, right? This is because we just don't have, we want a purpose. We want a reason to be on this earth. If we have a personality type, then we can have a specific job that we might really like. Yeah, and it's really hard when you think of it this way. You're left to think, okay, so I could basically have any job. Yes, you can have any job that you really want. You'll be surprised, there's going to be things that you naturally just don't want, depending on your environment. If you want a specific job, go to an environment where that specific job is at. Being said, I am not a hater of astrology things. I am not a hater of MBTI or personalities. It's my obsession, and that's why I've come to this conclusion, because I've researched it so much. Will I stop looking at astrology? No, you might see my comments on astrology profiles, because it's just a reflective tool. For me, what it does is, because I've gone to find out who I am now and not done it the other way around, once you know who you are, you can use certain tools to affirm things, right? But like I said, be careful and not put yourself in a box. It's a reflective tool. If somebody tells you that you are materialistic and that you value money, and that was your lifetime, your past lifetime, and this lifetime, would that align? Would you? Maybe not, because you don't know your past lifetime. Should you be bothered by your past lifetime? No, you're here. We need to stop going out there and just being here where everybody else is, because otherwise why would you be here? And for entertainment, it's very entertaining. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, but instead of seeing these astrology leaders and bodies as a thing that you need to put to reflect back onto you, maybe see them as just a character, and maybe, you know, I don't know, do what you want. I enjoy diving into it because I'm just very social based. I love people and studying people, so that's my theory on it. There's people that I know that hate it. There's people that just don't want to be put in a box, which makes sense. I can imagine also for somebody that hasn't had the chance to do like finding themselves part of life, just looking at these astrology signs, MBTI, personality traits could be a good beginning to just seeing where they would like to improve, rather than taking it on and being like, this is what I am and this is the only thing I will ever be in life. It's possible if you don't change it. Like I said, ocean is a default state depending on your environment, but you can certainly change it. It's very malleable. A reflective tool, because I love personality things, so I'm not gonna hate on it the whole video. That being said, I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will go eat this banana, so you might not see it next time. Bye.